I use data in research. I use data in my consulting. Before even accepting a consulting gig, I need to understand where's the data coming in and where is it coming out, because data is life. Data is the food to the operations that I run and to the whole process of digitization.
Hello, champs. Welcome to Data Soga, the podcast where we talk data, we learn, and we grow. With your host, Patricia Masiko from Data Girls Tanzania. Today, we have a special guest, the amazing Dr. Mboni Kibelloh. She's a tech enthusiast and the founder of Darasa Tech, working to bridge the digital gap through education. Get ready for an exciting conversation on tech, data, and digital inclusion. Let's dive in. Good afternoon, Dr. Mboni.
Good afternoon, Patricia.
We are honored today to have you as an opening session of Data Soga, a platform where data enthusiasts meet and technology enthusiasts meet in order to discuss various matters based on science and technology. We talk data, we learn in our careers and life in general. We are so much honored to have you today. This is such a blessing to host you today. As a person who I'm looking up to you, I'm very much honored to have you today on Data Soga and hope you feel at home.
Well, thank you so much for the kind words and the kind introduction. I'm very honored to be here. When you extended the invitation, I did not think twice. I thought, yes, I would love to take part in this platform and just to go on.
Okay, so today's episode we are going to delve on a topic. We are going to see how data is life. So our topic is as simple and short as that: data is life. I'm pretty sure you, as a tech enthusiast and a technologist herself, you've actually encountered data throughout your life. And I want to know a little bit of a story behind on when was the first time you met data, and since when you met data, how has it helped you? When was the first time you encountered data in your life? Welcome, Dr. Mboni.
Thank you very much for your question. I cannot speak about encountering data without speaking about encountering technology. So I would start there first before I really tell you how I started with data. I found technology in India, in Bangalore, around the year 2000. I'd gone there for my bachelor studies, and I had gone there to study something completely different. I'd gone there to study business and accounts and economics. And I think during the second week of my admission, I realized that I was not in the right field. I realized that I was really bored and I wanted something more exciting. And somehow I got introduced to computers and computer applications. So I jumped to another degree. And then a whole world unfolded before me, before my very eyes. And also being exposed to a place where technology had kind of taken over at a very early stage and a very early stage of my life, I was able to be motivated by my whole atmosphere, my whole environment was technology. And therefore, data started actually from there. But where did I really start working with data and diving into data was when I got employment at Tigo around 2007. And at that time, it wasn't a big phenomenon like the way it is considered now, but nonetheless, it was data. And I got into a job role called data warehouse analyst at that time. And my whole world really opened up into data. I found home in data. You can say somehow my calling in the area of technology, because technology is very wide. And since then, I've been really appreciative of data and the role that it's played in my daily life and operations.
That is a very wonderful story, from business into technology and then encountering data at workplace. That is so brilliant. So I would really love to know, how do you think data as a part of technology can empower women, and how has it empowered you as a woman in technology?
Well, thank you for another brilliant question. I think those are two different questions, and I guess before I even answer the first one, I have to answer another question before that. How can data empower women? First of all, we have a challenge. I want to talk about the challenge before talking about how data can empower women. We have a very big challenge of how women, as women, we're not interacting with data, and we are more like consumers and not producers of data. We find that in our daily lives, we believe that, first of all, our attitude towards data is not really, correct. We're not appreciative of the role it plays in our lives. So how can data work for us? I guess data can work for us just by, first of all, noticing the role it plays in our lives and then using it. For example, we might think that we might not be good enough for using data, but we're using it in our social media, we're using it in our branding, we're using it in digital marketing. I believe like data is everywhere. Data is everywhere. It's just that we need to be aware that we're actually interacting with data. In my personal experience with data and how has it really helped me, apart from the story that I shared with you about how data has shaped my early career and my position and my place in technology as a whole, I use data in social media itself. I use it to inform my digital marketing. I use data in my day-to-day as an academician, as a lecturer. I use data as part and parcel of my everyday, we can say, operations. I use data in research. I use data in my consulting. Before even accepting a consulting gig, I need to understand where's the data coming in and where is it coming out, because data is life. Data is the food to the operations that I run and to the whole process of digitization and the digital transformation. So data for real is something that is part and parcel of my day-to-day activities.
Impressive. You have actually tried to walk us through your day-to-day activities. As you have said, most of we women, we are mostly users of data, and sometimes we're just observing data and we don't even know where data comes from. But you're among the few women who actually try to sit down and use data and also try to make data. So thank you very much for being that part of women. Moving to the second question out of the first question, how can we solve the challenge of the few number of women in technological sector specifically?
I think we have a number of ways of solving the challenge of having few women in data and few women in technology. First of all, if we can just understand our role in technology, we would not be minimizing ourselves and playing small. I think it all starts with the attitude, how we see ourselves in the grander scale of things. And that can happen by platforms such as your platform, women who are doing similar things, and just projecting that back to girls and women that this is possible, and using that platform to change our mindsets of our role in technology, because we have a very, very big role to play. How we see things, how we internalize things, the products which are out there, how can we participate in not only being consumers, users, but also creators and producers and developers of technology and data. We have to be part of the conversation. We have to be part of the table. And by motivating girls through such discussions is very important, but also seeing it is also our role as people in the technology industry to not play small, to stand up, to stand out, and kind of be a mirror, to be an example to other girls and women. It's a constant operation, and we have come a long way, and I must say that we're really trying to move, we're really moving, but I think there's more to do, and every day if somebody plays a part in their own field of technology, I think we'll get there.
Thank you. You've been in data since 2007, as you have said, of when you started working at Kibelloh. Now, I would love to know, what kind of challenges have you encountered personally since that time up to date?
Thank you for your question. I know most people want to hear something like along the lines that, it's a male-dominated industry and, there are not many women, and so it's like the dog world out there. But I'm not going to say that because I don't feel like I've experienced that. I haven't experienced any external challenges throughout my journey in technology and data. Most of the challenges were internal. Most of the challenges were me against me, my mind against my mind, and standing up for myself, appreciating the value I bring to the table, overcoming imposter syndrome, that I don't belong in such places. And really, it has just been me finding my voice in the grand scale of things. So the challenges have not been external. I have not experienced any kind of discrimination. I've worked in departments where I was the only female in the department, and not once, more than twice. But I have always had support. It was up to me to show up and to believe in myself and to believe that I bring value and to work. Actually, you have to work hard, but at the same time, it's more like an internal battle than an external battle. So imposter syndrome, number one challenge that needs to be overcome. Everyone, every female, every person has a role to play, has a voice, and they have entitlement to bring it to the table.
Speaking of imposter syndrome, personally, I once signed for a class. It was a Python class, and throughout the journey, I was feeling like the fear of doing it, like maybe you're going to fail, maybe this, maybe that. But no, I thank God right now I'm doing good. And yeah, I think that is one among the things which most of women in tech, not only women, even men in tech are facing. I don't know the side, but I think it's something that is normal. Preferably there's a lot in tech. If you're introduced to tech today, there's a lot on the table. There's data science, cybersecurity, a lot on the table. So like, am I enough? Am I not enough? Can I do this? Can I not do this? So I think imposter syndrome is something that we really need to encounter. And may I ask you, once you encountered imposter syndrome, what did you do to overcome it?
So how I overcame imposter syndrome without knowing that I overcame it, because it's one thing knowing you have it. Usually you don't want to look like you're stupid or you don't know something, or like, what will somebody else think about me? So I didn't know I overcame it until I started working on myself. So alongside my technology career or business career, whatever career you want to call it, because I don't want to put it in a box, but I was also working on myself. I was working internally on myself and bringing the best version of myself to the table. So once I appreciated what I bring, once I appreciated my enoughness, once I continued to love myself even more, I found, and then understanding myself and what works for me, where are my strengths, I decided that I was going to focus on my strengths and less on my weaknesses, because it takes more energy to work on your weaknesses. I decided that I wanted to enjoy what I was doing. There's no point in following the group mentality if I'm not enjoying what I'm doing. So I found a niche, and I thought this is what kind of brings the best out of me. And I settled there, and I became comfortable. Not comfortable in the events which are coming to me, but comfortable in what I can bring to the table, and that I can continue to grow in that field and continue to bring the best I can bring to the table.
That is amazing. So I think it's very much important to acknowledge yourself and be aware of what you can do best and what you cannot do best. So I would love to ask something on top of that. How did you know you're best at something and knowing you are not best at something, at the same time being in the field already? How did you find out what you're best at and what you're not best at?
Thank you for a very good question. I observed myself and what brought me joy. I think I was following the joy, because I have worked, I'm not saying that I've not worked in places that have not been really grueling. They have. But I think it's when you do things that you don't like and you do the things you like that you kind of know. It's like a try and error. Then you're like, I enjoy doing this and I excel. And in these classes, I feel like I'm getting E's. And in these classes, I feel like I'm getting A's. And then most of all, I just thought, let me follow my bliss. Like, if I was to do something without getting paid a single dime, what would I do for free and happily do it for free? That's kind of how I discovered. So data is one of the expressions. It's not the only expression, but I found that I love digging up information from data and coming up with new knowledge from data. It's something I already love to do. So it kind of comes naturally. It's just one of the expressions. So through the try and error, through getting to that jobs where I thought I could not last for more than 2 weeks because I felt the pinch. And then there are jobs which I've done and I felt like I could do this every single day. I feel joy. So it's just finding that balance. Of course, if you're starting off in the beginning, you might not have that luxury to throw out jobs and take on jobs. It comes with practice. It comes with lifetime of experience. But by and large, if you discover early, it saves you a lot of time and headache and heartache as well in your career journey. So I think it is a try and error. It's not like I woke up one day and I knew exactly this. I think it was an accumulative of different jobs and different experiences and listening to myself and how do I feel about this job. It's not how they feel, but how do I feel about this job? Is this something I'd like to do every day? Yes, let's do more of this. This is how I came to that realization.
That is amazing. Trial and error to make sure that we understand where we are good at and follow our heart and do something that we are able to do it every day, even without payment. I would love for us to oversee how data is going and how technology is going. How does data plays a role in Tanzania's development over the next decade?
This is a big question, and I don't think there's a totally right answer for this. It's almost like we're trying to predict the role of data in the next 10 years. And it will depend on a number of things. The role of data be determined by our appetite for data. How are we appreciating data today? And I'm talking about on an individual level. I'm also about the private sector, business-wise, consumption of data. I'm talking about the public, the government. I mean, how the next decade will appreciate and how we'll actually be jumping and going with full speed into data. We look at the issue of velocity, speed of data. How is the speed of data? Not only the speed of data, and I'm not talking about exactly the internet, that's how we interpret data, but I'm looking at how we need data to make quick decisions, because if the data comes now and we make a decision after 1 month or 2 years, then that data is not valid. So we need to, it's all about the appetite of the data now, the appreciation of how data will help us to make decisions that will drive the future use of data. I don't know if that makes any sense. So our understanding now, our attitude and how we're positioning ourselves towards understanding data will determine our next 10 years. So a lot of education needs to go through now, a lot of training, a lot of knowledge dissemination, because we can have so much data out there and not know what to do with it. I don't think we are data deprived right now, but we are more like, what are we doing with this data and how is it helping us? So it can only make sense for us in the next 10 years and then create products that you make are useful for us if we appreciate that the data right now is important and that we can use it for big decisions. But if we're not going to get to that level, then we will continue to have abundant data but not consuming it. We'll just continue to be malnutrition, a nation of malnutritionness. So appreciating it, continuing to have platforms such as this platform that continues to educate and motivate people into thinking differently about the relationship they have with data will definitely take us to that quantum leap that we are hoping that other countries are having towards data. But it really starts with us on an individual level in an everyday use.
So speaking of appreciating data, I remember going to the 8th ICT conference and I thought that in Tanzania we are still backward, but wow, people are using data. People are building AI models. People are building a lot of things using data. So I would say personally, this appreciation, as how you've said, it keeps on going and the training, and we keep on using and approving the already taken data. I think we're going to be somewhere there we have never thought that Tanzania would even exist in terms of science and technology, because science and technology depends on data. So from a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate with the current situation on how data is appreciated in Tanzania? In the future, how would we be in terms of development?
This is a good question. See, like just by the example you've given, you went to an ICT conference and you met very enthusiastic groups of tech-savvy individuals. Unfortunately, you went to a place where there was a concentration of people in tech. It's beautiful. So if I was to vet based on the audience that you went and you had met, I'd say we're banging 9, almost 10, right? Because we're out there. We're really, really trying to push the needle and really appreciative of data. But that is not the representation of the whole population. We have a knowledge gap in terms of age. There's issues of age. You have the young people appreciating it more than, the born before computers, who at some point, some of them, because I don't feel like I'm in that group, still are pushing papers. Then you have the gap between the urban and the rural. Then you have the gap between the women and men. So if we all come together, I think we'll reach far. But yet, I really, really, really see the progress we're doing, and I do not dismiss it for one bit. I'm part of that movement. I'm part of that ecosystem. I am thrilled and I'm motivated by the energy that is bouncing off of all these hubs, all these startups. So it's an amazing atmosphere. Like in Africa, I think we're really doing well. We're among the really, really thriving places. So yeah, I just feel that we collectively to appreciate as a whole. The group that you met in the next 10 years, 10, 9, 10. Collectively, we need to work together to get there.
I think we need to keep on working hard and trying to fill the gaps in the places you've pointed, like the ones born before computer. So let's move on. Now, if you would go back to your younger self, what would you tell her?
I would tell her that her voice matters. I would simply tell her that her voice matters, that even if she's very soft-spoken, that she brings value, she's enough, and she can move any mountain she wishes to move. Maybe that information came a bit late, but if I was to go to my younger self, that would be exactly that.
What advice would you give to young girls aspiring to build careers in the tech field?
I would give them the same advice that they have a voice. I say this to say that in the tech field, most of the tech players are male. They are the designers, they are the developers, and ultimately they are the consumers. 50% of women are consumers naturally, like 50% of population is women, but the products are not created for females. They're created for men because naturally of the people who develop the products. I would say for any woman wanting to get in the tech field, bring your voice to the tech industry. You have space to influence the design. You have space to influence the development of technology. You have your own ideas. You have your own set of unique problems that need to be solved by women. And you keeping quiet and shying away and not bringing your voice to the table ultimately affects the whole production and the ICT industry as a whole. So it's very important. I host events. I talk to youth. I see how girls would kind of keep quiet when it comes to ideation, thinking that their ideas are not viable, thinking that their ideas are too domestic. But we're here to solve all problems, worldly issues, domestic issues, national issues, and our voice matters. And if we don't say these things, how can they come out to the surface? Who's going to solve them? Another thing I'd like to say to young aspiring girls is you do not have to be a hardcore programmer to be in technology. That's a myth. You can stop at being a designer and you can design female-centric products that are appealing, using the colors that are appealing to us, writing the stories that are appealing to us, designing from a female-centric perspective and solving the challenges of women. So come and bring your ideas. Do not worry that, my ideas are too feminine or too domesticated. Just bring it to the table because we need these ideas to make our Tanzania a better place.
Facebook and Ping.
That would be great.
I have just pictured that, like having everything in woman appealing. And actually, women, we're good at designing patterns and everything. I think if we could have more women in technology today, we could solve a lot of unsolved problems.
I give you an example, just in the gaming industry. We don't have many female gamers.
Yes.
Most of the games which are designed are not for females. I mean, they're just too masculine, they're too rough, they're too testosterone driven, and they just don't appeal to us, And why are they not appealing to us? Who is sitting behind the design table? Who's designing them?
A man.
And it's actually very good for the economy that if women are also part of the design team, if they're also part of the thinking in the ideation phase, it means that we'll be more women consumers and we put more money in the tech industry. We're not putting all our money in the tech industry because it's not appealing to us.
It gives masculine energy.
It does.
So moving on to the next question. If you could address the government of Tanzania, what policies or actions would you advocate to ensure more women have access to technology, education, and careers in data?
I would ask for... we have a lot of entrepreneurs coming out of universities right now because I think the youth have realized that they're not going to get into employment that quick. So a lot of them are coming out of universities with ideas and they're ready to put them into motion. So one of the challenges that they encounter is actually funding their startups. And you really cannot grow or start a startup on a debt. You can ask your family members. You can't go to the bank. Nobody's going to give you money from the bank. But I think it would be nice to have more initiatives that encourage entrepreneur startups through domestic venture capital, schemes, but also creating an environment that allows like a tax haven, like a 5-year tax haven for startup, and that they don't have to think about taxes and they can have their try and error moment and just kind of find their way. And then after 5 years, you go and knock on their door and say, we need your taxes. You need to pay your taxes. So just creating that environment that allows youth to come out of universities and start up without having so much burden on their shoulders. And this is a collective conversation, actually, but it's something that it would be nice to see, even on a small scale, even on a pilot scale, but just supporting these ideas and putting money into them, and then not touching them, not talking to them until 5 years is up and like, hey, we gave you this, so how's your progress? Because when you start, you have moments you fail, you have to pay salary. There's a lot of things that you learn that you not necessarily get when you're in university or when you're in college. But yeah, that would be something good to see being adopted by the government. Yeah, an ecosystem that supports startups to that degree.
And as you have said, currently, a lot of youth have woken up on the issue of jobs, and most of us, we're really putting our eyes on the other side of entrepreneurship and trying to see how are we going to navigate through life even without our degrees. Because I have seen a lot of people in tech fields and even out of tech fields diverge completely to the other side of life, out of the university, and not able to get a job that qualifies them according to what they've studied for. What skills do you think they are very important to any youth today so that they're able to explore in the entrepreneurial world today?
This is a very big question. Thank you. I think this is a skill that might not necessarily look like it's a skill. The ability to adapt. Because you actually said that, many people are jumping ship to another side. They have studied this and this, but the ability to adapt, the ability to be fluid, like this is what I've learned and this is what I know, but I could actually adapt this new way of doing things to get that result. You cannot be rigid, and that is a skill on its own. And many people have actually failed because of the inability to adapt to changing environments, and especially in technology that is so quickly changing. You almost need to be on your toes very often to be able to adapt to new seasons and new ways of doing things. That's one. But also two is, and I guess they're all under one umbrella, of attitude, the way of thinking, it really matters. This is really key to everything, I think, in life. The way of thinking about things. To attach this to my next point is the ability to learn. How can you learn? Because there's that learning in class, but there's also do you know how to learn? Can you identify that I don't know this thing, I need to learn it? So while you're learning, can you unlearn it? Can you unlearn all beliefs or all systems that no longer work for you? So all together, I like to place this under the umbrella of attitude, but also the ability to network. I think you cannot go, especially as an entrepreneur, I think you can't do much without networking, going to different platforms, attending different events, meeting people, forming partnerships that are long-lasting. And notice that up to now, I've talked about soft skills. So as much as hard skills are very important, and you know them, the science, Python, programming, JavaScript, that, I think one area that is often very much overlooked is the soft skills, the mindset, networking skills, ability to communicate. Can you communicate your idea? Have you want funding for your idea? Can you communicate it? Can somebody understand what you're about in just 3 minutes? So those are all really, really important skills that will, distinguish you from everybody and propel you to the next stage.
I'm left in L. Because for real, I have met people with soft skills, but they don't have these main skills like technological skills or the skills to do something like data science, Python, and whatever of those skills. And I have met people with the skills to do things like data scientists, cybersecurity. They are good, they are ripe, but they don't have soft skills. Meeting in the middle, you find people are still struggling. They have skills, they don't know how to use the skills, they don't know how to network with people. So this is very, very, very much important. Thank you so much, Dr. Mboni. Now, moving to the next question. Beautiful. If you could describe your favorite thing about working in tech using just one word, what would it be simply?
Favorite thing? The favorite thing about working in tech?
Favorite thing about working in tech.
In one word.
In one word.
I think I would use the word opportunity. Yeah, I would use the word opportunity. That would be my favorite word working in tech.
By opportunity.
Because, if you can think it, you can do it. And that is what tech does. Tech kind of gives wings and gives life to things which could not have actually taken flight, So for me, tech is not something that stands on its own. It gives life to other things, to other sectors. So I would say it gives opportunities to other sectors to thrive. And I have this exercise I do when people come to my events. I would ask them, what did you study when you're in university or your diploma or certificate? And they'll say something like, I did education. I'm like, wait, do you know that IT can help you in becoming an entrepreneur in education, and they'll be like, and like, there is an opportunity. So I'm kind of always identifying these opportunities, and I get so excited because I feel like that is one of the best parts of being in this field, is like, it can never be too crowded, and there's always something that can be done with IT. So you name anything and I'll find a place where tech can come in and just give the place life. So I love the word opportunity because for me, that's what tech does. It gives different sectors opportunities to just fly. It gives individuals opportunities to just excel. It gives opportunities for nations to just thrive. Opportunity for me is my word.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mboni. This has really been a nice conversation. Personally, on my side, I'm humbled, and I have really, really learned a lot for you as a person who has been in technology for over a decade. And just to wind up, what would you love to say to anyone who is hearing you about on how they would navigate themselves in technology?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Really appreciate the time I spent and sharing my thoughts, and thank you for the amazing questions, really, really amazing questions. And I hope that this platform will actually go out there and inspire somebody. I think in a nutshell, what I'd love to say to anybody, anything, regardless of whether it's tech related or anything, is just to find yourself and to be authentic to yourself. Because when you're authentic to yourself, you can actually become a profitable business. You as you, like, you become profitable when you're authentic, when you have discovered what works for you, what doesn't work for you. You're able to trade with you, give yourself to the world by being authentic. So whether you're giving yourself through tech or non-tech areas, entrepreneurship, just be authentic, because in your authenticity lies the true value that you bring to the table. That's what I have for anybody who's listening to this.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mboni. Thank you very much, very much, very much. If a person wants to connect with you, how can they access you, if that is okay with you?
Sure. I'd love to get any questions, and I love interacting with people. Have my social handles, Mboni Kibelloh on Instagram. So I also have Mboni Kibelloh on LinkedIn. Be also sure to follow Darasa Tech. Darasa Tech is a platform that is also inspiring youth and is doing training. So we are based in Kigamboni. Anybody who's reaching out, they can actually, and our details are on the Instagram pages. But if you're in Kigamboni, do come and say hello. Come and check us out. Come and say hi. Come and connect. My email is mboni.kibelloh@gmail.com. I love to connect. So come through and we chit chat and just even advise anything. Just come through. I love to connect.
I'm coming for you, doctor. Coming for you. I'm coming for a lot.
I am waiting.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mboni.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Asante sana.
Asante pia. We would love to have you again.
Oh, I'd love to. I feel like I'm already a friend of your platform. So whenever you have anything, just let me know.
Thank you so much. I think that's a wrap for our session. Thank you so much for everyone who got a chance to listen to us. And we are hoping to transform more and more lives. Don't stop to subscribe, and don't stop to follow us on all our social medias, on Instagram at Data Soga, and also in TikTok as Data Girls Tanzania and as Data Soga. Thank you so much and have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Bye.